Stocks give up early gains despite a mixed to solid slate of corporate earnings. With today's New York Stock Exchange floor report, I'm Rebecca Darst from the Market Access Center here on the trading floor. Tech stocks have been a bright spot in the market today, with S&P Techs trading more than 1% higher thanks to earnings beats from Apple. VMware, EMC, and Juniper are among other tech stocks trading in the black today, and Ford is also a remarkable outperformer following earnings releases from those companies over the past 24 hours. We're seeing notable weakness in the miners today, with S&P gold and coal names down more than 4% as a group. Caterpillar, which reported earnings this morning, is down about 2% after cutting its guidance on a projected slowdown in demand for mining equipment. Let's quickly recap the action on overseas markets that brought us here. It was a mixed session for Asia Pacific stocks overnight. China closed lower after a larger than expected miss in the July manufacturing PMI. A reading below 50 in the PMI indicates economic contraction. China came in at 47.7 for July. Financials and materials were the laggards overnight in Shanghai. The Nikkei also closed fractionally lower on light volume overnight. Trade balance figures out of Japan showed a larger than expected trade deficit. Japanese telecom stocks were a pocket of strength, but healthcare and consumer services led Tokyo stocks lower. There were green shoots out of Europe this morning, however, thanks to a string of promising manufacturing PMI numbers. Consensus for Eurozone area manufacturing was expected to come in at just over 49. Instead, we got a string of reports over 50 for Germany, France, and the overall Eurozone. Here in the U.S., futures were strong thanks to those bottom line earnings beats from industry bellwethers, but drifted a little lower after 10 a.m. after June new home sales printed at a 5-year high. This strong macro data point cast renewed speculation on a tapering off of Fed stimulus and led the yield on the 10-year higher by 8 basis points. So currently we are down 66 points in the Dow, and the VIX reads higher by more than 4% in early afternoon trade, this bringing the volatility index back above a reading of 13. Looking ahead to next week, the earnings drumbeat continues with a number of major names set to report, especially at midweek, but there are also a number of key U.S. data points, including closely watched jobs data for July, due out next week as well. Here's the rundown for global markets. On Monday, Brazil will release June net debt as percentage of GDP data. Italy will release July economic sentiment, business confidence, and June hourly wages, while the traders in London will be looking at June UK consumer credit, mortgage approvals, and money supply. Here in the U.S., we've got June pending home sales and Dallas area Fed manufacturing activity for the month of July. Earnings due out include Simon Property Group, Masco, the Hartford Financial, and Franklin Resources. Japan has a heavy slate of data points due in the first half of the week, with June household spending, jobless data, June industrial and vehicle production, and small business confidence due out early Tuesday. The UK will release July nationwide house prices. Germany will release several regional consumer inflation points for July, and we've got July reads on economic confidence, business climate, and consumer and industrial confidence for the Eurozone as a whole. There are earnings in store from big pharma names Pfizer and Merck, along with NYSE Euronext, US Steel, Western Union, Aflac, Aetna, Sprint, and luxury retailer Coach. At midweek, we've got June manufacturing PMI from Brazil, Japan's July manufacturing PMI as well, June labor cash earnings, housing starts, and construction orders. We've got some consumer spending and producer price numbers out of France, unemployment data from Germany and the Eurozone region, which could move the European session, and the jobs data week kicks off here in the U.S. with the July ADP employment change, employment cost index, along with the second quarter read on GDP, Chicago PMI, and an FOMC rate decision, so hold on to your hard hats at midweek. We've also got earnings from MasterCard, Hospira, Humana, Allstate, Marriott, Lincoln National, and MetLife. Brazil will release another string of data points on Thursday, notably June industrial production, July PMI manufacturing, and monthly trade balance data. China will release July manufacturing PMI data. We've also got July CPI data from South Korea, along with trade balance and PMI. Japan will release weekly foreign and domestic stock and bond buying, official reserve assets, and vehicle sales. And Europe will likely move on a series of July PMI manufacturing numbers from Italy, France, Germany, and the Eurozone, along with an ECB rate announcement, and another one to go along with it from the Bank of England. Here in the U.S., we'll be looking at the weekly jobless claims, July challenger job cuts, July PMI, and ISM manufacturing. Earnings will be out from Exxon, ConocoPhillips, Procter & Gamble, Cardinal Health, Beazer Homes, Avon, Time Warner Cable, and Kellogg. Finally, we'll end the week with July PMI from India, July PMI construction numbers from the UK, Eurozone producer prices for June, and the July change in non-farm payrolls here in the U.S. pre-market, The June reading came in at 195,000 new payrolls. Survey this time around calls for 179,000. Chevron, Host Hotels, Sealed Air, and Spirit Aerosystems will close out the week in earnings. We'll be following all of the action as it happens here from the world famous trading floor of the NYSE, so check us out next week for the next floor report.